DNVR Draft Pod. We're doing it. That's right. Met a fan in the bar. He gave me a "we're doing it."
Oh my God.
Isn't that amazing?
It's a movement.
Live from the Xfinity studio. Xfinity, man. That's where you want to go.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. I was getting to it. Oh, man. Oh, we've already got plenty of homies in the Toyota chat. It's a beautiful, beautiful time to be alive. I, too, am hella pumped for this draft pod. What up to all of y'all? Thank you so much for joining us. The usual disclaimer. We are, in fact, the draft pod. Yes. If you're like, who the hell are these clowns? First off, no, you can put that in the chat. We won't take, we might roast you, but we won't take offense. And yes, the normally scheduled Broncos programming coming your way. Not going anywhere. Usual time. We just do this year round, and the Broncos have given us a lot more reason to not just talk draft, but also talk about the actual Broncos and roster construction and free agency, and might even sprinkle in some OC takes today.
Let's go.
So we've got you covered on all fronts. I'm Andre Simone. He's the Swan Man, Jake Schwanitz. We've got the man, the myth, the legend, Deion Smith. Almost called him Deion Burks. Was watching some Deion Burks tape after DJ had him in the top 50. I'm sure you remember him from Purdue.
Oh, wow. He was at Oklahoma, though, right?
He was. He made like one of the catches of the playoffs. Right. Deion's nodding emphatically over here. I wonder if Deion, like me, I have my Andre rankings, the greatest Andres of all time. Deion gives me a feeling that he's got his own Deion rankings. Yeah. He's keeping an eye on, you know,
he does, us, for sure.
Us Andres, we stay together. I'm sure it's the same for Deion's as well. You know, I've got OCs on the mind, Jake.
Okay.
And the Broncos pod covered it beautifully yesterday. You know, we can get crazy with it. We're the draft pod. We can do whatever the hell we want.
Let's do it, man.
Let's start there as a little amuse-bouche, a little appetizer, just to wet the palate. And then we'll get into off-season scenarios. We'll get into draft strategy, all-star games, latest mocks, rankings, the whole shebang. But first, no more offensive coordinator. Lombardi gone, which I thought was interesting. Joe Brady, an old favorite of the draft pod, but like old favorite.
Yeah.
Which also says how long we've been doing this.
Facts.
A very interesting report. Very interesting thoughts from the panel yesterday with Zach calling in, Hank, and RK, that the Broncos had approached him as being their OC.
RK.
And what?
RK got approached?
No, Joe Brady.
Oh, I was going to say. I was like, this doesn't surprise me at all.
Be a great play caller. He'd be a great play caller for sure. And in trying to approach Joe Brady, we're also trying to intrigue him by giving him play calling duties. Now, Zach felt like that from inside the building. That's not exactly how it was structured. Hank was saying he does believe the reports. RK was saying, a bit skeptical. Who would be motivated by putting that report out? Maybe it's a play caller in waiting was what was agreed upon. Regardless, I also think the other caveat is if Davis Webb doesn't take the Raiders head coaching job, the move was 100% made to pursue him as the full-time OC.
Yeah.
That said, there's also some other internal options like Zach Strife, the run game coordinator, Peter Carmichael, who's worked with Sean for ages and is a senior assistant. But what I'd love to get crazy with you about, Jake Schwanman, is what outside choices would intrigue us if they were to go that route.
Okay.
If they've already kind of thought of that with Joe Brady and they wanted to go the outside route. And I put a list together that's similar to these YouTube highlight videos that I'll see where it's like OC candidates, but it only gets wackier.
Yeah.
Or it only gets crazier. Like there's an hour-long Jokic highlight of like Jokic highlights, but it only gets crazier every highlight.
For sure.
Do you want to start anywhere here?
I don't know where to start, honestly.
I know.
I mean,
I've got a wide web.
I've got an inkling.
Yeah.
I think that it's to try and retain Davis Webb somewhat.
No doubt. No doubt.
And if I'm Davis Webb, why the hell am I going to Vegas? Throw away my career? That's the first job I'm going to take?
It's a tough scenario. I think of like Brian Callahan going to Tennessee, and it's like, it's a lose-lose.
Totally.
And unless you pull off a DeMeco Ryans type turnaround that you haven't seen for a decade at that franchise, it ain't happening.
Vrabel.
Yeah. And, everyone can preach patience. And then you're midway through your second losing season and they just move on from you.
Yeah.
No one cares about you growing as a head coach. So yeah, it makes a lot of sense for Davis Webb to just stay, develop, get a different role. I mean, he's like 8 years younger than me.
I know.
So
he was the guy that the Buffs were trying to get for the 2016 season, right? And then that fell apart. And then obviously Cepho ends up taking him to the Pac-12 title
quarterback
game.
Is what you mean. Yes, not to coach the team.
Yes,
yeah, correct. So yeah, for sure. It's Davis Webb 100%. So we won't spend too much time on this, but Brian Callahan, I think, might be intriguing. He was on the Broncos staff from 2010 to 2015 with a variety of different jobs. He most famously got promoted to head coach for the Titans after being the OC for the Bengals and being very successful. And I think there's a lot of things you could take from that offense and kind of translate and maybe inject Denver with what they need. Clint Kubiak, another guy who's been around. I mean, shoot, I remember being at Garrett Grayson's pro day, and God knows when that was. He's probably coaching by this point.
Yeah.
And Clint was like a Broncos assistant, or he might have been a Rams assistant at that point, just hanging out around there. What about Cliff Kingsbury?
Oh, my goodness.
There's a Vance Joseph connection there when Vance was his DC for all 3 years that Cliff was the head coach at the Cardinals. He also would bring that kind of Oregon-style offense that Bo was running in college, and I think could bring some things that would be intriguing. And his work with Kyler, his work with Jaden Daniels, even what they did with Mariota last season, I thought was all pretty admirable. These are all spread-type quarterbacks, and I think could translate nicely.
Well, look at what the Commanders did against the Broncos this year with Mariota, too.
100%.
They almost lost that game.
Yeah. If that doesn't have you intrigued, I don't know what would.
Totally.
Also, Zach Ertz, a free agent. Maybe he could find ways to unlock Evan Ingram,
Oh, I love this so far then.
Frank Reich. Not many connections. We're going more older, but I think Frank is available for hire.
Was the quote-unquote head coach of Stanford this last year, I believe.
Yes, interim head coach.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. And I think is still staying on as maybe some sort of senior analyst or whatever, but available for hire. An old faithful for me, I'm always going to bring him up. It's Troy Calhoun. He coached under Mike Shanahan in the glory years. He then went to coach under Kubiak in the Matt Schaub years, and then has been pretty darn good at Air Force. And, the service academy coaches have quite the track record. So a guy who can run the triple option and do the most out of the least, but also has all the Shanahan offense abilities to him and could bring some running game chops, I think would be really intriguing. I don't know if that's even in the cards.
Sure.
Greg Roman. The guys brought intriguing. Up, right? Like what he's done under Harbaugh and with Lamar. would be very intriguing and bring a bit of a different mentality to this run game, this O-line. It would be imposing December, January football.
I just don't know if Sean Payton would go for it, because I think if you hire Greg Roman, you're absolutely running Bo more. Or that's what his intention is going to be.
Yeah, it's a fair point. A lot of these guys might be inclined to run the quarterback more, frankly. David Shaw, he was in the building, former Stanford head coach, former Stanford offensive coordinator under Harbaugh, was the coach for a decade plus. He was a senior personnel executive at the Broncos just last year, and then was coaching for the Lions last year.
Yep.
And of course, the Lions, Dan Campbell, that is a Sean Payton disciple. So there are some connections there.
Yeah. I like that one. That one is just, I think that'd be a slam dunk. It's just a matter of if he's trying to at this point.
Yeah, and would bring some good, like he can bring some college concepts, but even in college, we were like, he's running a pro style offense.
100%.
Clayton Adams, he's an OC for the Cowboys. Obviously, the Cowboys offense was phenomenal this year, but Brian Schottenheimer is the play caller.
Yeah.
So maybe you want to, and he's got some CU connections. He was on that staff under Kingsbury and, part of VJ's staff as well. So I think that might be an intriguing one. Jason Garrett, the one who got away. But when Sean was coaching back at the Cowboys before becoming the Saints head coach, Garrett was kind of the prized offensive mind on that staff, and of course is on TV. I know he's a bit of a joke now.
The clapper.
But maybe as an OC, I don't know.
I think you could do worse there, honestly. I mean, he's a former quarterback,
like
kind of worked with those guys. Like, honestly, if they do end up promoting Davis Webb, this is the type of guy you'd be looking for, right? A quarterback coach type, because that's what Davis Webb was, obviously. So
I think you could do a lot worse.
It'd be weird. People would get their jokes off, but I think at the end of the day, we'd come around to it being a solid hire.
100%. Matt Nagy, that one I'm more on the fence on.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah. And a similar Andy Reid disciple, Doug Peterson. No, best season Ingram ever had, I believe, was under Peterson's.
In Jacksonville. Ooh.
John Gruden, another one along those lines.
He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it.
And then, I don't know. I know he's at Northwestern, but Chip Kelly would intrigue me. And he's like Kingsbury and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I loved his run game at UCLA. It was pretty diverse. Charbonnet went crazy there under him.
Ohio State just last year.
He's just, maybe he is more pro-minded at this point, but I just don't even know where he fits anymore.
Yeah, I know.
So
also, like, his stock is way down.
It's lowest it's been
in 2 decades,
ever?
Probably.
Yeah.
100%. So that was a fun one. I told you they got wackier as we went on. We're going to take a quick break and then start talking about mock off-season scenarios. Leave us a thumbs up. We'll be right back. Big brothers, big sisters. January almost finished. Wow, that flew by. But it is National Mentoring Month. And us at All City Network, at the DNVR, we're so proud to partner with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, because they're directly impacting our community, the young people in our community. And mentorship is such a key to that. Right now, thousands of kids are waiting for a mentor, someone to listen to encourage, to simply be there. And the impact is monumental. Just a few hours a month, right? A couple of outings every other week with a young person can build confidence, help them stay on track, help them see that there's a path to life. There's a way to enjoy yourself. There are people that care, that are invested in your well-being. Being seen, the impact that has is monumental. We're all about investing in the future at the Draft Pod. So is Big Brothers, Big Sister. Become a mentor today by visiting bbbs.org/allcity. That's bbbs.org/allcity. Set up, be a big, and help shape the next generation right here in our city. And talking about investing in the future, 2026, the year of soccer is upon us. Denver's got a new team in Denver Summit. We've got a World Cup coming to North America, and Colorado Soccer Association is the official hub for 65 plus soccer clubs across the state. They offer programs for youth players, adult players, coaches, referees, families who want to get involved in the game. Kids can kick off their soccer journey as early as the age of 3. And whether you're playing for fun, competing at the highest level, or exploring a career in soccer, there's something for everyone. Be part of history with the World Cup coming, with the new NWSL team. Join Colorado. There's never been a more exciting time to play, cheer, and be part of the soccer, the beautiful game. Want to get involved? Visit coloradosoccer.org to find a club near you and be part of the future of the game. Back in the Xfinity studio. Good comments in the Toyota chat here. Hydramo talking about want someone who runs the ball. I think that makes a lot of sense for sure. I'll be intrigued to see who they go with, though. Again, I fully expect them to go with Davis Webb. But that was fun.
Yeah.
This will also be fun. We're going to talk mock off seasons.
Let's go.
I've got 3 options for you, okay? Mm-hmm. Option A, you sign 2 skill players. Let's say a running back and a wide receiver. In free agency, you lose JFM. And all of these scenarios are, then who do we go after in the draft?
Okay.
So that's scenario 1. Then we'll talk through some free agency options as well. Broncos should be a top 10 team as far as cap space. Could be a little more. And we'll get into that. But about 25 to 35 million in cap space. Obviously, they re-signed some guys. So while you lose the dead cap from Russell Wilson, you have these extensions, Waterberg, Bulls, that kind of stuff kicking in. So, yeah, they can get some free agents. I think when you're talking about free agents, think of like maybe you can get one top-tier guy who you're paying 10 milli plus, and then another more mid-tier guy.
Okay.
But you lose JFM. So probably the draft strategy veers off the skill players and onto the trenches. Scenario 2 is you re-sign JFM and a linebacker, whether that's in-house with Strnad, Singleton, or another free agent backer.
Okay.
Then what do we do there? You know, I don't know. Levante David's out there. Quay Walker's out there. Devin Lloyd, who would be an absolute
he's a
dream,
monster,
is out there. You know, so probably if you re-sign JFM, you can't go after Devin Lloyd. You need to sign a lesser defensive lineman, but that would be that scenario. You load up on defense, and so you have the skill players remaining to patch up. Or scenario 3, you cut Powers, which creates, I don't know, 10-ish million in extra cap space, and or Brandon Jones, another guy who would open up some space. And we were talking about scenarios a month ago of like, if you need a Brandon Jones replacement, there's a lot of strong safety options in this class, especially deep safeties, cover guys who can cover that deep third. And you load up in free agency, you get a front 7 guy, whether it's D-line or linebacker. You get your wide receiver and your running back, because now you have closer to 40 million, even 50 million if you were to cut both those guys. And then what's your draft strategy, where the current needs have been filled, but you've opened up new needs in a guard and a safety. So which of those is most appealing to you, Jakester?
I'm between A and B.
Okay.
I like investing in your own players to a sense. Like, you know what you're going to get in JFM for the most part, right?
Yeah.
And then either go into A option where you spend on the skill positions. I just like that because I think you're going to get more proven production at the skill positions from the free agency pool.
Yeah.
Rather than the draft where, yeah, it might be the more long-term option, at least for like running back and wide receiver for sure. Like, we need guys now.
Yeah. And it's a really nice running back class.
Yeah, so
K9, Breece Hall, Rico Dowdle, Javonte, though I doubt they'd bring him back. Travis Etienne. I mean, these are top 15 guys as far as league leaders in rushing yards. And then, I don't know, guys who have shown promise in the past. J.K. Dobbins would be one of these. Alexander Madison, Rashad White. Remember how good he was?
Yeah.
2 years ago with the Buccaneers. Shoot, we were talking off air. Kamani Vidal was drafted, then cut, then re-signed as a practice squatter. So he's potentially up. I don't know, Isaiah Pacheco, guys like that. Wide receiver, yeah, there's the George Pickens of the world, Alec Pierce, Rashid Shaheed, who I would absolutely love. He'd probably be like leader in the clubhouse for me, because I think the Broncos need a dynamic wide receiver, a guy who keeps DCs up at night when they're game planning for the Broncos, because you got to account for Shaheed's speed and how he's going to alter coverages and the spacing and everything, and how you got to dedicate 2 guys to him deep. I think that would be really intriguing. But again, I like Pickens. I think they'll get something done. B, I think he'll be too much of a hot commodity. The Broncos probably don't have that type of top tier space. C, he might be a bit of a head case and not worth like the headaches. And then, veteran options, Deebo Samuel, Mike Evans, Hopkins, guys like that. Juwan Jennings, Keenan Allen. So you've got some options, but maybe no one who really like jumps off the page.
Alec Pierce
as a deep threat would be really fun. Quite intriguing, as we say.
For sure.
Scenario C, where you load up, maybe you get Devin Lloyd, maybe a Shaheed who commands less money than the top tiers, and say, because they're running backs, you can get a top tier running back, but not pay top dollar. So you might be getting an ETN at the price of a mid-tier wide receiver, right? But then you need to get yourself a guard. Then you need to get yourself a safety. Then you might need to get yourself a tight end still is the other factor in all the, because we talk skill players. Maybe Kyle Pitts is too good to pass up.
Yeah.
Maybe Dallas Goedert as an inline do-it-all tight end.
He'd be great.
Is too good to pass up. And that's the route you go, and you still figure out wide receiver in the draft.
I mean, I like scenario C. It's just more risky, right? You're putting more emphasis on hitting in this year's draft at some key positions, right? You need to get...
Yeah, you still need a D lineman.
You need that. You need potentially another guard already, too, if you're going to cut Powers at that point as well. And you're going to have to ask him to start, or you're going to need to scout your ass off in the free agent pool and hope that you find some value there for someone. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. It's just that it'd be more risky. And I just think that when you go into free agency, that's where you can make the safer moves. I mean, you're obviously spending more money, but
yeah.
I mean, there's options though. Like I think Rico Dowdle would be great at running back for the Broncos.
I like him a lot.
Me too. I thought they should have signed him last offseason. I was all for him.
Kind of the downhill runner you need.
Yeah, big guy too. Like, I mean, he had some monster games for Carolina last year too.
Yeah, I know the fans really like, Breece Hall has been a really popular name. I mean, K9, the way he's played
he's the dream, I think.
Yeah. No, Seattle does have a lot of cap space, so I think they could totally retain him. So maybe of all these guys, he's the one that you can't keep. I mean, ETN, I think, would be really fun.
Yeah.
Javonte would also be like...
That would be so fascinating.
Yeah.
I don't know how it would work out, though, too.
Brian Robinson do anything for you? Just more of a meat and potatoes guy? Like, he's more a compliment to...
Yeah, if he's my RB3, I'm feeling great, but...
Or what if he was your RB 1.5? You have 2 RBs, 1.5, like you did with JK when he was healthier.
I don't know.
Rashad White would be amazing. That's who I'd go after. Zamir White, remember we liked him coming out of Georgia. Is that a buy low candidate for you? Yeah,
not really.
That
I think it's
everything.
over.
Khalil Herbert, he had a good year in Chicago.
Yeah. I mean, Monangai really stole a lot of his motion, I feel like, this year or even the year before. It was.
He was at the Jets, so they kind of let him go
it was last
and
year
replace them. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Kind of did nothing with the Jets. Okay, well, let's talk through these draft implications of our different scenarios here. But first, you know what? Let's take a quick break if you're up for it. Dion, you guys give us your takes, and we'll talk through it on the other side. But first, Taco Bell, boy, I could go for some Taco Bell right now. Nothing better for me than anything with the Taco Bell beef in it. I get the crunchy tacos, but a nice burrito always hits. All their latest offerings, when they've got that beef in it, it's the best. And they've also brought back the quesarito, intertwined with Denver sports, intertwined with the draft. Of course, the commercial was running as our king, Nikola Jokic, was being drafted 41st overall in the NBA draft. And now Jokic has tried it. The king, as we call him in my home. Lucia, I think, was seeing a commercial recently and was like, Dad, the king's on TV. Well, that's Taco Bell for you, baby. And he approves. And while you're at it, don't forget to grab something from Taco Bell's crispy chicken menu, whether it be a taco burrito or strips. Taco Bell's crispy chicken delivers every single time. And with football playoffs, a little Super Bowl party for you, you can be the hero and pick up a crispy chicken game day pack featuring their chicken strip soft tacos and Taco Bell's amazing nacho fries. Those hit every time. Taco Bell, live mas. And shout out to our dear friends at Bet365. Bet365, what an amazing place. The only place you can find our custom bets. They were with us all playoff long. The only place you can find, you can use our code DNVR365 and sign up to get their latest sign-up offer, which is an absolute banger, giving you $200 in bonus bets. The Super Bowl props they'll have will be off the charts. The draft props they'll have will be off the charts. You can bet Nuggets, Avs every single night. Get into what you want to. Put your money where your mouth is. Really put their money where your mouth is, because you sign up now, you use our code DNVR365, you bet $5, win or lose or draw. As soon as that's settled, bang, $200 in bonus bets is your sign-up offer, and you can use that however you choose. Futures, player props, SGPs, UFC fights, whatever you want, they've got you. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or somebody you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. T&Cs apply. We are so back, baby, in the Xfinity Studio Draft Pod in full effect. Lots of takes on what we should do in free agency. I think those names got people intrigued.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. There's a lot of options that make us a lot better football team.
Yep. And there's plenty of just hold on to J.K. Dobbins, which I also get completely.
There's totally a path.
Yep. Njoku, another tight end worth mentioning that I find.
Ooh, baby.
100%. So, scenario one, I repeat, we go with the skill players in free agency. Let's say a top-tier running back and more of a mid-tier wide receiver. You lose JFM. What is the draft strategy, Jake?
Trenches, meat and potatoes. Let's be responsible. Either side of the ball, in my opinion, just draft the best one there. I'd consider linebacker. I think there's going to be some options in that range for you towards the end of the first. We'll get to the top 50 from DJ, but he had Anthony Hill in like the 40s and stuff. So
yeah, I know Anthony Hill, favorite of ours. Speaking of DJ, Daniel Jeremiah, in his mock draft, he gave us Peter Woods, the Clemson defensive tackle, a guy who, if you've been following with us all year, when we were previewing the season, one of my favorite episodes is doing rivaling top 10s. Mm-hmm. I think he was a consensus top 10er in this class for us. His teammate, TJ Parker, has also been an absolute animal, a phenom at the Senior Bowl. His power is uncanny. DJ didn't even have him in the first round in his mock draft. Mm-hmm. So the way his stock is shaping up, maybe he would be available for the Broncos. Those would be very intriguing guys. We've, of course, also talked about Akeem Messidor. Is that right?
Yeah.
Jeremiah has him 17th on his mock draft. So age is just a number, 18th on his overall board. And then there are some good options on the other side of the trenches. Well, for one, Lee Hunter.
Yes.
So back to staying on the defensive side of the trenches. Lee Hunter, the nose tackle for Texas Tech, has been awesome at the Senior Bowl. And we were talking about nose tackle options. How after that Bills game, they couldn't run on the 5-man front. They could run on the 4-man front at will. Well, get yourself a defensive tackle that can take up 2 blockers and alleviate that problem altogether. Is Hunter, who you covered in the Big 12, enough of a 3-down player to allow you to do that? Or is he too much of a true nose to not really allow for that?
I think he profiles much more of as a true nose. So it's a little bit, you're kind of putting yourself in a box, I think, a little bit, but this guy is so disruptive, man. He is, I mean, he's lined up and started at, kind of, I guess, how they framed it. They have nose tackle at PFF and also tackle. So I'm assuming 1 through 3 tech. But
yeah.
So he has lined up. But man, this guy is so disruptive. 32 career tackles for a loss. He was a baller at UCF. He was basically bought by Texas Tech this last year, and he delivered, really. I mean, his production didn't really take a drop at all. Of course, they had great linebackers, too, that were swarming and kind of catching everything, cleaning everything up for Texas Tech. But Lee Hunter at the Senior Bowl has been one of the most impressive players. And that's tough, too, because the defensive side of the ball, I think, has an advantage in those trench drills and one-on-ones, right?
Yes.
So 100%. You have to factor that in, but he's been so dominant this week.
Well, and for more of a pure nose, that's one of those guys who... in one-on-ones, it does matter more for him to show up.
For sure.
Another guy who's really done well at the Senior Bowl, and we have talked about before, is Caleb Banks, the massive defensive tackle for Florida, 6'6", 330. He's also showing up at the Senior Bowl and done well. He was injured, only played in 2 games last year for the Gators, but probably would go higher if not for those injuries. And then another big guy is Darrell Jackson Jr., Florida State, 6'5", 337. Banks and Jackson, they're so tall that even though they're so big and can take up 2 linemen, they have a little more mobility to where I think they could work in more of a 4-man front and be guys who can be disruptive on the inside. So you'd have some options on that end. We actually will go to the other side of the trenches, where if you're looking for pure guards, Olagave, Penn State's kind of the consensus top guy. Emmanuel Pregnon. Who knows? I mean, this is another guy. I'm going to pronounce him the French way, and then it'll be like...
Yep.
God. I was seeing a mock draft on The Athletic that had us taking Jennings Dunker, the right tackle for Iowa, in the end of the 2nd round.
He's a monster.
Monroe Freeling, the left tackle for Georgia, who I think has a ton of upside, is at the bottom of most of these first rounds in mocks, as is Caden Proctor, the left tackle for Alabama. And I was seeing, was it Spencer Fano, who was right at the end? No, Caleb Lomu.
Yes.
So the left tackle for Utah, who was... just after the Broncos pick. Also, I think DJ's pretty high on Blake Miller, the right tackle for Clemson, who I was talking up at the end of last season. Stayed in school. He's a long offensive tackle with some mobility to him. I think he transitioned really nicely to guard. Max Ianakor, the Arizona State super duper athlete, JUCO transfer, started playing football very late in life.
Yeah.
And I think maybe transitioning to guard early in his career might be really nice for him. So you'd have some options there too. Caleb Tiernan from Northwestern, he's the left tackle. He's a real ass kicker.
Mm-hmm.
He checks off a lot of boxes, kind of from the Garrett Bowles school of O linemen, like raw but nasty, linear frame, but also physical. Checks off a lot of boxes. So you'd have some options in scenario A. Scenario B, that's where you go heavy on the defensive side in free agency. JFM, you find a linebacker, and now you need running backs and wide receivers. So how does that play out in the draft for you, Jake?
I think you target wide receiver first easily. I just think you're going to have so many more options.
We were texting about how before publishing his top 50 list, Jeremiah was hinting that he had a ton of wide receivers in his top 50. So you might be looking at wide receiver 6 by the end of the first, but that might be why you want to jump on that while you can.
So yeah, he ends up with 11, maybe even 12. He's got Chris Bell at 50 in his top 50. So there's going to be so many options and so many guys who I think would just fit so nicely. Malachi Fields is having a hell of a time at the Senior Bowl right now, the Notre Dame wide receiver.
Yeah, he's ginormous. We talked about him somewhat in the previews, but he's really standing out.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, Sean likes his big wide receivers.
Yes.
Ted Hurst from Georgia State. Thank you. He's 6'3" wide receiver, small school guy who's really stood out at the Senior Bowl. He reminds me of who is the CSU wide receiver? I'm blanking. That came out last year.
Torrey Horton
to some extent. Just checks off a lot of boxes, but long frame and can run really well. Jacoby Lane is another big wide receiver that's looked good at the Senior Bowl. The USC kid who's averaging like 30% of his receptions were touchdowns in college.
Mm-hmm.
He was popping more day one of the Senior Bowl. But, around where the Broncos are drafting, off of Jeremiah's list, you have guys like Casey Concepcion, 32 overall.
Yeah.
The A&M slot, who we've talked about quite a bit.
Oh, yeah.
Zachariah Branch is later in the... And Zach, again, I don't think you need necessarily a wide receiver type because you've got your bigger wideouts. You've got your speed guys in Franklin. You've got your more nuanced route runners with some size and Pat Bryant who can do stuff. You've got your returner type in Mims. You're maybe missing that pure slot, which is where Concepcion and Zachariah Branch might be nice.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're really missing is that dynamic playmaker, that just not an X wide receiver necessarily, though it'd be nice to have a pure X. So we can debate whether Sutton's that.
Mm-hmm.
But a guy who, again, is keeping DCs up at night when they're game prepping for you, because it's like we can't guard this guy one-on-one.
We need a separator, a rack guy who can just make plays on his own, which is why I look at guys like Casey Concepcion as just a prime target for the Broncos this offseason. Zachariah Branch, I mean, I'm worried he's more of a Marvin Mims type, which we obviously have on the roster. And, you're hoping for more out of Marvin this next year. But we saw that kind of took some time, really. Do we have 3 more years to wait for this guy to emerge into a 800-yard receiver? You know what I mean?
I just wonder, could he be that superstar slot that no one can guard?
Yeah.
Think of Bo jived really well with Tez Johnson in college.
Right. Yeah.
Could he be your Tez Johnson? And Concepcion is kind of the same concept, well,
he's
pun intended, I guess.
He's a little bigger, I think, and I think he's shown more downfield than Branch.
Yeah.
So far.
I was really surprised, intrigued that Malachi Lemon is 7th on Jeremiah's top 50 board. The USC wide receiver we've talked about all year. But Jake, Branch had his job at USC.
Right. True.
So, those stocks have flipped in a year. So I don't know, and then Antonio Williams for Clemson, he's in the mid 30s. And I think that's another guy who's probably more of a slot, but a slot with some size and has been a star in college for quite a few years now. We've kind of stopped talking about him for a little while, but late first, if a lot of these guys, Tate, Lemon, Tyson, all these guys are off the board, he might be intriguing. And then Chris Bell.
I mean,
Chris Bell to me is a top 20 guy, but because of the injury, you might actually have an opportunity to draft him. The Louisville big wide receiver who tore up Miami.
but is he going to be ready to play? He tore his ACL late in the season too, so you're probably not getting him for very much a training camp at all.
He is a bigger wide receiver, but he's bigger as in 220 pounds.
Yeah, he's a monster.
He's built like a big back and can take a slant to the house.
Yes, and he gives you a ton after the catch. I mean, he's a perfect fit, I think, in my opinion. It's just, how are you going to manage that injury? How much are you going to try and rely on him, if at all, this first year? Because is he going to be around?
Deion Burks from Oklahoma hinted at him earlier in the podcast as we were talking about our all-time Deons and shouting out Deion on the ones and twos. He's a Purdue transfer, went to Oklahoma. His stats aren't eye-popping, but he did have his biggest games were Oklahoma's biggest games. Michigan, where Mateer looked like a top 10 prospect in this class. He went off for 100 yards, and he had one of the catches of the entire playoffs in that Alabama game in the college football playoffs where he makes a great sideline grab. Is it just the Oklahoma helmet, or is he too much 5'9", 188 like Marvin Mims?
I mean,
Or is he more Casey Concepcion, Zachariah Branch? Because I bring him up because he's 46th on Daniel Jeremiah's top 50.
I mean, yeah, he's a nice player, and he obviously struggled when Mateer went down. And, I mean, Oklahoma just offensively really hit a slide at that point. So it's a tough eval. I mean, you're going to have to go back to the Purdue stuff, I think, to get a real accurate look. I don't know. We need bigger guys. I want bigger wide receivers and guys who can make plays and catch the football. That's really all I care about at that point. Is those three boxes being checked, and I think that's what we need.
Fair enough. Okay, what about scenario C, where you cut Powers, let's say, and Brandon Jones, but you get yourself a linebacker, you get yourself a wide receiver, you get yourself a running back in free agency with that cap. So you need both sides of the trenches, which we kind of talked about in scenario A, and you need that deep safety.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about that in the draft? Do you address the trenches earlier and wait for safety later?
So what would the options be at safety here? Let's see.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Okay, so
the Toledo kid, Thieneman.
Yep, Dylan Thieneman, who was quite high in DJ's rankings, surprised me. Emmanuel McNeil Warren is the Toledo kid. He'd be a great deep safety.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Kilgore from South Carolina would be another fun option. AJ Halsey from LSU. Or Kamari Ramsey from USC. I'm pretty high on a lot of these guys.
Me too.
And I think they're all pure deep safeties. And I think you could gamble that, look, one of these guys will find in the late second.
For sure, for sure. I mean, just from positional value, it's not the move at all. The move, I think, would be to go offensive line or potentially defensive line again.
The value might be D-line 1, guard or safety round 2, though probably leaning safety.
Mm-hmm.
Though you do have Jade and PJ.
Well, that's Jade Barron is the wild card in all this, right? What are their plans for him in year 2?
Yeah.
And again, I think there's an option for him to potentially play safety. I don't know if it's strong safety, exactly what Brandon Jones is playing, but
and
I mean,
PJ you'd have to re-sign is worth mentioning.
You have Talanoa too, though, and he's obviously a very impactful player around the line of scrimmage and coming down from the box.
Yeah.
You would have liked to see him, I think, catch a few more interceptions this year. Maybe that's something that Barron can do for you in the deep end of the field. I think he'd be a great fit at safety. I just don't know if that's the plan for him necessarily moving forward. Because otherwise, I think you feel good with what you have at corner, right? Like, I don't know where he factors in necessarily.
I think so. It was interesting seeing that same athletic mock. Mansour Delaney dropped to the Broncos in the first round, and they just snatched him up. And we've hinted at this. It might be one of those where the value just lines up, and this cornerback class is nice enough to where you do go after, like,
You've got a corner staring you in the face and you just take him.
Yeah. People would be very upset with that, I think.
They would be. And then you'd have to figure out, like, is Jade your deep safety? I don't know. He's more of a slot nickel playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
Is Riley Moss a deep safety? You know, he played a lot of zone corner, like those instincts of having things in front of you at Iowa were there, but it's way different playing that middle third.
No doubt.
And having, you know, I know it's like, as far as valuable positions on an NFL field, it's pretty low on the list.
For sure.
Similar to off-ball linebacker, similar to guard, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
But do you put a rookie in there to be your last line of defense when you're trying to contend, when you have a window, you know?
That's tough.
Yeah, where is Jose with inside linebacker?
Shout out Jose.
Shout out Jose. Hydramo saying Christian Miller, who's a guy in the defensive trenches, the Georgia D lineman who'd make sense. And he says, or Will Hunter. I imagine he's talking about Lee Hunter.
Yeah.
I do think the value's staring you in the face with defensive line, which is the more premium position of the ones that you have left on the need list at that point.
Or an offensive lineman, bro. Like if Monroe Freeling is just staring you in the face right there, again, I don't know, because how do you balance like patching your needs, but also doing these things in an efficient way so you don't just open up too many other holes like this scenario?
That's why this is the
And this is why I didn't really
play.
like this one, is because it just makes things pretty uncomfortable at too many positions when I feel like we have so much momentum at right now, and maybe
it's too many new guys.
Yeah, maybe the fix is just simply signing a few guys at the skill positions and then just, being responsible in the draft and focusing on the trenches. Maybe you even sign another safety or a corner too. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't really want to be in the position of relying on guys on rookie contracts to get us over that hump when we have, 2 years left of Bo on a controlled cost, you know?
Yep. It's and that's the other thing, to open up some cap. You can backload some of these deals because the cap's looking good, not just next year, but especially good 2 years from now, especially good 3 years from now. And then things get a little trickier.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is a big rookie class too. You have to hit on this rookie class. I think this is pretty pivotal as well in terms of reaching that ceiling with Bo's contract right now. I mean, that's just how it's done. That's how the Chiefs kind of started their run. They were drafting really well for a time there. I mean, pieces on defense, on the offensive line, at wide receiver almost every year that helped them kind of sustain I'm not going to say the D word, but they were close to being a dynasty, I would say.
Yeah. But the thing about Scenario C is it does address the more premium needs and leaves you with needs that can be backfilled by kind of lesser guys. But it does mean, it means potentially 3 rookie starters.
Exactly.
Which is scary.
But, I mean, look, Sean Payton's kind of done this before, too. What was it, a 2016 class? With Kamara, Lattimore, and Ramczyk, right? Like
Anzalone.
Totally. And, like, maybe we're kind of due for one of those classes. I mean, we've had some really good ones in recent years under George Payton, but obviously, like, an all-time draft class is something that changes the picture a lot. So, I mean, again, there's a lot riding on this year's draft class.
Well, and with this window of opportunity, if you were able to bring in a monumental draft class like that, what that does in raising your ability to really capitalize on that window is huge.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let's get into some Senior Bowl takes and some Daniel Jeremiah latest rankings and stuff. Where do you want to start? It's really, the floor is yours. Get the takes off.
Yeah, let's start with Daniel Jeremiah here. Really, I think the first thing that caught my eye, where did it go?
What are you looking for?
Oh, here he is. Because I was surprised to see him at 27, Keldrick Falk.
I know, 27. It's like, that's not too far off where the Broncos are drafting. The Auburn D lineman, who would be a perfect JFM replacement.
Totally. And isn't this a guy
perfect.
Fran loves? Like he has
Yes.
him way up there in the top 5. So
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting to see him potentially this low when I feel like he was, at least in the media, it's felt like he was building a case to potentially go like top 15 or even much
Because
higher.
he looks like
He's
he's a football Adonis.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's him, the 2 Clemson guys, Caden Proctor. If they were staring you in the face, I don't care what scenario you went with. It's kind of like just take the foundational football player and add him to your core.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting because again, this is something I said last week, just picking at 30th, I think, or whatever range it was back then, you know, just in this top 4 of the first round range. You're going to have so many options at that spot at 30. Like, I think this is going to be classified as somewhat of a weak draft class compared to other standards, I guess.
Which is funny because we get so excited about all these guys.
For sure.
And the more we do this, the more I'm like, yeah, they were probably right to not trade any top 100 picks for guys to help them in the immediate.
Exactly. So you're in a position where you can kind of just pick whatever you want. And I think, who cares, honestly? You're free of criticism. Like, I don't care what anyone says about the draft pick at the end of the day, but like, you're going to have so many options, and you could potentially see a quote unquote surprise pick of a guy who maybe is consensusly ranked in the 40s that you take at 30 overall or in the 50s or something. And if he fits what they want to do, then, this is, again, kind of the draft class you're looking at in terms of it's very niche or like specific, the needs that you're going for, I feel like, which is a good spot to be in.
Yeah, for sure. I also thought it was interesting Kenyon Sadiq was down to 21.
Yeah. Totally.
So I don't know. Maybe we can dream again. And it's worth mentioning Keldrick Falk, who's 6'6", 288. He's only 20 years old.
Yes.
So yeah, he only had 5 TFLs, 2 sacks in 12 games last year. He had 11 TFLs, 7 sacks as a sophomore at Auburn. It's a real talent. And then Colton Hood, a guy who's really high on these rankings, really high in his mock, and has really stood out at the Senior Bowl. Former Colorado cornerback who went to Tennessee, maybe benefited from Jermod McCoy being injured.
Totally.
And was really able to raise his stock. Jermod McCoy, the other Tennessee cornerback, another guy, top 5, top 10 in the preseason. Injury kept him out all year. If he were to drop to you, that might be another one where it's like, just rip up our expectations and take the foundational piece staring you in the face.
Yeah. I think that we can start to comfortably talk about Kenyon Sadiq. Maybe just right now. We'll see what happens at the combine and stuff moving forward. But he has him going to 27th overall to the Niners. First off, we just can't let that happen. Then it's unfair. You don't get to go from Kittle to Kenyon Sadiq.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
Second, that's just our range right there. At what point, what would you say? He drops to what, 24, 25? And you're thinking, we maybe have to go get this guy because he would be amazing for the Broncos.
Well, the move up convo becomes especially interesting tying back into segment 1. If you were to lose Davis Webb and all of a sudden you have a high comp pick, then it's like, well, we've got these 2 late thirds. Why not?
Yep. You have all your picks.
You have all your picks.
You have another extra pick from a trade, I think, too. I can't remember which trade exactly it was.
I think it's in the 5th, though.
Yeah. It was the Vele pick that you got back.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think it was 5th or 4th, whatever it was. Anyways, that still matters, though. Like, those are points that make up that the trade key, the Jimmy Johnson trade key, man. Like, that's valuable stuff.
Yeah, big time. That's in free agency. You could have got, or at the deadline, you could have got some big name guys there. Yeah, it's 2 fourths, 108 and 130.
That's very valuable.
So, you have 5 picks in the top 130. And then you have a ton of 7th rounders, but they're all late. They're all after pick 246.
Those mean something too, though.
Yeah. They're filler. For sure. So yeah, you actually have a ton of picks. That's
Mm-hmm.
5 in the top 130 and then 6, 7, 8, 9. So you probably don't need 9 rookies.
No shot. But I don't know. We said that, last year, and they kept all their picks, I think it was?
Yeah.
So who knows?
For sure. But if you're adding all these guys in free agency,
That's true, too. Yeah, next month
the
is gonna be
roster is
big.
probably at a point where you can do that. Pick one scenario you prefer to all others now that we've done the exercise and actually talk through who you would draft.
I kind of like B, I think, now more than A.
Yep. So that's where you re-sign JFM, you find yourself a linebacker or re-sign Singleton or Strnad, and then you're left with figuring out wide receiver. I like the wide receiver options. We didn't really talk about running back options, which is something that luckily we've done all year.
And DJ had
Jadarian
Price.
Price.
Yeah, 43.
He was the only other running back in the top 50. He's also Fran's RB2. I would love Katron Allen.
Yes.
Like if you could just get Casey Concepcion end of round 1 and then Katron Allen end of round 2, sign me up. And it's just we're running it back with this defense. Maybe you added some vet at tight end or some lower level, I don't know, like a Rashad White, a Zamir White in free agency, but you still need that other rookie bell cow to add to this. That would be a really nice, you're not altering the roster too much, but you're taking care of business.
Totally.
Jonah Coleman, the Washington running back we love, does he last till the end of round 2? It's debatable,
Maybe
at least,
not.
right?
Yeah, who knows at this point. But, I just think there's some good options. Hemby from Indiana was obviously very impressive this year. It sounds like Mike Washington Jr., the Arkansas running back,
He's really popped.
has made quite an impact at the Senior Bowl so far.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't
Le'Veon Moss is a guy we love from Texas
for sure,
A&M.
dude.
And I think maybe you get him in. Could you get him in the 3rd round?
I think so. I think that could be an option. The consensus board is all over the place on so many guys. Like the A&M guys, like Owens, when Moss went down, I thought was really impactful. Jamal Haynes at Georgia Tech, he didn't have a great year, but
Yeah, Jamal Haynes is intriguing.
he had a great year two seasons
smaller,
ago.
5'9", 190.
Yes.
Emmett Johnson from Nebraska is a similar,
Mm-hmm.
smaller. And that's where I wonder, like, do you load up on smaller backs? That's where Jadarian Price, the other Notre Dame running back, is really interesting because he was used as more of their 3rd down scat back type. Fran's comp is Felix Jones, but he is 5'11", 210.
Look, I'm not ready to close the book on RJ yet. It's like just
No.
getting better.
I think building it around RJ is a key for sure.
So I don't think it necessarily needs to be. Yes, we need to be better running between the tackles, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think you can get yourself insurance there, but also, like, I think we just need more, like, passing game stuff out of the backfield. If you're going to ask RJ to be more so your bell cow moving forward, how much of that falls on his shoulders? With Sean, who knows? It could be a lot. But I think there's still value in maybe still getting a smaller scat type, too, to kind of complement him and open that up. He's going to get better this offseason. I don't know if he's going to become the inside the tackles runner that we need necessarily, but I'm confident that RJ is going to be a lot better football player this next year. So,
yeah, high drama. I think he is that small, but I like your scouting report that he's not small at all and he always falls forward. That's the kind of guy you want.
Exactly.
I think you make a really strong argument for scenario B. I personally, now that we have talked it through,
what do you want?
I think I'd go scenario A. Get me that veteran wide receiver. Get me that veteran running back, and let's replace JFM.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I feel good about the options we talked to, especially if one of the Clemson guys dropped, especially if Keldrick Falk were to drop.
Yeah.
And then keep drafting in the trenches. See what valuable wide receivers, running backs are there. End of, end of the top 100 in the 150s.
Which
and
is
go about it that way. I think that's the way you improve the team the most. Roach, Odiggy's the Iowa State nose tackle, like they can fill in some and keep expanding their roles. Like keep building around Q and Jonah Ellis with Cooper and Benito, and just go about it that way.
Again, there's still a lot of wide receivers I like in this class that are going to be available in the late rounds. And if you look at the recent trends in the NFL, it's where a lot of the best ones are coming from. It's becoming, I don't even want to say it's becoming more like running back. It's just interesting how it's been working out with like the emergence of Puka Nacua, is going back to even Cooper Kupp, like in the third round. Obviously, he was a smaller school guy, but
or even guys dropping to the end of the first.
Yeah.
JSN, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Like those guys were available closer to the Broncos range than they were top 15, top 10.
Yeah.
It's going to be fascinating, man. I cannot wait for this offseason. Sucks that the Broncos aren't in the Super Bowl, but I am so hyped for this.
You were robbed.
I'm so hyped for the Toyota chat and how excited they are and how many takes are out there. And I cannot wait to do this with you again next week. Shout out to Dion Smith making everything run smoothly on the ones and twos. And until then, mile high salute to you. We out.
We all silly like the mayor.